Welcome to the Aaron Jack Show, here with Juan Delcan and Valentina, visual artists, both whom I truly admire. Thank you so much for being here with Doing Good HQ. We're going to have Juan on here in 1 second, Juan and Valentina. I'm so excited for them to be here today and with you, the beautiful audience of now, to explore art and the imagination, to explore who we are as humans, as we create and understand culture, as we explore the human experience of who we are today in this day and age, as we create a reflection of this time. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to have Juan and Valentina on here in 1 minute here. There we go. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, the audience, for being here with me, Aaron Jack, on the Aaron Jack Show. Once again, so we're going to do the little request on and be live, alive with you, alive right here and now, where we exist and explore this world together. Hey!
We did it.
We did it. Welcome. From around the world, we're here from Berlin to LA. Thank you so much for being here. Wow. So, when we talk about culture and we talk about the imagination, how do you see that moving into the future as you both explore the matchsticks and this representation in the world?
Well, I think we're going to have to figure out a way of being partners with artificial intelligence in all fields, even in art, which is probably going to make us think a little bit about who we are and what is being created and what is being a person. So this it's very philosophical, I think, where it's coming up. Of really the meaning of everything, the meaning of ourselves. I mean, the moment that, it's freaky when you're replying an email in Gmail and they can anticipate your answers and you feel so unoriginal because it's exactly what you wanted to say. And it's like, wow, they can do my job. They can do my thinking. So what is next? Art is not going to be different. Not immediately, but we're going to have to find a way of being partners because you cannot fight it. This is coming like a bullet train.
So the AI partnership together with the human, like how is that going to move forward? Or how do you want it to move forward as kind of the forerunners of thinking and moving the minds in the space? What would you like to see happen?
Well, I think that there is a component of fear of the unknown in everything we do. There was fear when the first train came out and people thought that if you go a certain speed, your soul will disintegrate more than 10 miles per hour. Your soul will disintegrate, or maybe something like that. And even when the first typewriter, because typewriter, it was confronting something very important, which is the value of words through calligraphy. In my case, I look at the calligraphy of my grandparents, and it's something we don't have anymore. And I believe that with all the technology that we have, starting with the typewriter to where we're right now, our language hasn't grown. Our vocabulary hasn't grown. Look at me. I cannot even speak. It's shrunk. And when you hear older people talk, they seem to have a broader vocabulary that we have, or people with certain education, and with the same kind of educational level nowadays, with all what we have, it seems like our vocabulary is shrunk, and the Gmail sample is really good. It's like, whoa, I cannot even think, because I don't have time. I have to reply, confirm, or yes, that's awesome. It's like, wow, that's exactly what I wanted to say. And they were a lot more original in their talk. And I have a theory, which I haven't heard in any other place. So far, it's mine. I'm going to say it. And it's the fact that because their calligraphy was so beautiful, there is something about caressing the word that makes you appreciate it more. And now because it's so easy to write it, you don't give a shit as much.
Exactly. And also, you know, you don't use words anymore. You use emojis, you use all kinds of stuff. So it's like, it's not even. And I was reading this morning that one of the worst ranked word in the world right now is awesome. Because, you know, awesome, everybody says awesome. So awesome is like, everything is awesome. So awesome is like the lowest word that you can use because it's overused.
Well, when everything is awesome,
everything's awesome.
Nothing
like,
is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't go into detail either. You know, like it's awesome. So there's no detail in awesome. Awesome is broad. Awesome is everything. So there's no detail. And I love detail. I think details for artists, I think the art is in the detail. Absolutely. Like detail is the most important thing. Because that's where you get your inspiration too. You know, like details are so important. So talking about the artificial intelligence, I think the matchsticks are a fantastic candidate for artificial intelligence because they are, you know, little people. So they could benefit a lot from being people. If that makes any sense.
And they're artificial.
Exactly.
They're not real.
Well, so tell me, the matchsticks, because I love the matchsticks. I've been obsessed with them for a while, and I just want to say, like, I'm a huge fan for like a while, and I'm so happy to have you both on. Like it's really a pleasure. It's interesting what you're saying about detail and like this intricacy between the calligraphy and the word and how we might describe in better detail. And I'm curious, as we look at the detail and the human computer interaction of the future, what does that look like, as you know, and the part that humans play in this like shifting paradigm?
Your guess is as good as ours. Nobody really knows because there is a lot coming, and it's going to come in different phases. So right now, at least we can talk, I would say, for the next 10 to 20 years, creativity is still going to have, humans still going to have the protagonism in creativity for, I would say, I want to think, maybe for the rest of our lives. But that's going to change very soon. It's fascinating. I see the way people interact with artificial intelligence, especially writers, in a way, and I think that, and it's an opportunity for other artists as well. That is what they use, because artificial intelligence, they do fall in the maximum exponent or example of mediocrity, because that you do what everybody wants to hear. So you just try to please everybody, and that's what they do. They just gather information and they funnel it so far. That's probably going to change because they will know how to become original, but they are not original just yet. But at this point, writers, I see them using artificial intelligence essays. So they actually give them a theme, and then they write it as the counter example of what they should do. It's like, if a machine can do this is exactly what I shouldn't be doing. And I think there is something to be said about even painting or animating or creating storytelling, that it could be also using artificial intelligence as a counter example, as a positive counter example of what to do. That's probably going to change. That's just immediate until somebody just comes up with a brilliant original way of something that you cannot even think. Like they're doing in other fields like chemistry and in the drug industry. They're actually coming up with ways of thinking that are very different to, of creating drugs that a human hasn't been able to just come across, and it's because of that. So I think that it's gonna happen, but it hasn't happened just yet. And I think it's gonna take a few years for them to figure it out. Yeah. But if it could happen, it's gonna happen, and it will happen, and it's unstoppable. So you cannot even, even if you want to fight it, good luck with that. It's like trying to stop the typewriter machine. Sure, go for it. Keep writing.
We can't stop it. We can't stop it. It's just gonna happen, and I think we should embrace it. I think we should embrace. True. You know, because people are afraid of change. You know, we're also afraid of change, but I think change is the best thing that could happen to you, because it makes you, it keeps you on your toes.
And yeah, and we don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice. It's just like, give it a positive spin, because we really don't have a choice.
You can complain and cry and do whatever you want, but it's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. I would have to embrace it.
So this change is coming, and I'm curious, as we get so far away from kind of being able to caress the word, as you said, and find these details within the human experience that's, culturally relevant. How can we embrace the AI at the same time where we also look at embracing the caressing of the word and the details that hold within conversation and human?
I think that's where we come in. That's where we come in, because artificial intelligence is going to do whatever, but that's where we come in, because we are the ones that have the power of the detail. We are the people that have the power of making it love, that word, exactly. Caress that word, and we give the soul to artificial intelligence in a way. So it's, I think it's in our hands, and we can do a lot.
Well, I think that, one thing that we can at least try, is to add some kind of value to what is the right thing to do, or the care for others, and make the humanity something precious. Exactly. So the moment that you care for other people, you try to, if you start adding value to being human and be creative, and the future of humanity and the future of the earth, it may somewhat make the people that are programming the artificial intelligence in a bad way. That they may think twice. So maybe there's less of those. They're going to be there, but it probably will. It'll be good to inspire the people that could do good, because it could do a lot of good. Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But I don't know much about artificial intelligence.
No.
It's only just I'm not an expert.
No,
but it's coming, so I want to read.
And we really want to get into make friends with it. Yeah, I think that's the best answer for me. It's like, I really want to make friends with artificial intelligence, because that's the only way to embrace it. We gotta understand it. They gotta understand. Artificial intelligence has to understand. We have to have a relationship. It's like, that's what we need to do. We have to have a relationship with artificial intelligence.
But anyway, we do, and I have been doing this for a while now. We started like painting with our hands not that long ago. And now we are working with computers. And in the beginning, there was some resistance. The same way, and then I would start shooting. I'm shooting film, and then the HD cameras came up, and there was this whole confrontation between people that love film and these people that still do, and they hate HD. And that kind of like went away, because now you cannot even tell. Except for the grain, it's very hard to tell. Unless you're an expert, it's just seamless, and people and the younger generation doesn't care. So there was that fear that it would happen just yesterday. I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago, of this kind of resistance to embrace the data, the digital video cameras versus film, and film was like the ultimate beauty, and that is going to happen with everything. I think that we have a tendency as humans to resist things that are new, that are coming, that our way, that we are not used to, that is not familiar. So we don't like it. We don't like change. But the changes happen so quickly that in a way we gave up in even that hate, because it's that or nothing. And things are changing more, faster than our capacity to understand it. The cell phone, the smartphone is a great example. We all know there is manners in the table. We all grew with our parents talking about the manners in the table, but all of a sudden there's new intruder, which is the phone, and nobody gave us the manners with the phone. There's just no rules that we've been taught by our parents, because our parents were the first one breaking those rules. So we don't know, but nobody uses. There is certain things we don't do in the table. No, there's a lot of people that are very rude in the table.
Well,
but we know there is a protocol or a way of actually eating well, and and there is no way of doing things right. You cannot correct somebody for using their phone in a certain way. We should. There should be like some rules.
There should be some rules.
But that's just one example. The cell phone.
Yeah, but then you don't want to get, stuck in the past either. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember like when I think I was in Spain, and I went to a restaurant, and they asked you to leave the cell phone in the entrance. They had like a little basket that you had to leave the cell phone, because they wouldn't. It was like a really fancy restaurant, so they wouldn't allow you to have the cell phone on the table, so you couldn't take like pictures to post on Instagram and stuff, because it's kind of. I mean, at the beginning I was like, oh, this is really cool, because it's like liberating. But in the other hand, it's like, you can't stop that, you can't stop people posting, because it's in detriment of your food, because people are going to take pictures and put it on Instagram, and they're going to want to come to your restaurant. So the whole thing is like, it's really complicated. It really is. So I think it's up to, us individuals, we have to just try to do the right thing. So it's a responsibility that we have. And we got to try to be civil to, to other people, like, and try to be our manners. Because there's a whole thing about manners. Because, for example, we decided like a few years ago that we were not going to lie. Like, we don't lie. So, and then my brother, he has a TV show in Spain. So, and he's, like the ultimate liar, because he's on TV all the time. And he makes, all these stories and stuff. So he decided that to tell the story that I don't lie. But then, of course, he twisted it. Because, he said, like, I haven't lied in 10 years. And he said, like, no, that I decided that I wasn't lying for the last month or so. So he decided that's already a lie. So he decided that, and then he said that lying is actually having good manners, because you don't want to tell the truth all the time. And, if you see somebody that, maybe is not attractive, you're not going to tell them that you're not attractive. So you tell them, oh, you look so good, so it's a lie. But I said to him, no, I will find something good about that person. I will tell them you have beautiful eyes. I mean, I'm not lying, and I'm not being rude, but he said that lying it goes with not being rude. And I'm like, I don't know. So that is true. I mean, people lie all the time, just because it's nice to lie. It's you don't have nothing good to say, then you lie.
It's true. Even art. I mean, art in a way is a simulation. A simulation is a lie. It's not something that is real. But we do live in. I mean, the reality of simulation is, it could be just. I mean, how many times it happened to you that all of a sudden, immediately you say, "Have you ever been in Prague?" And well, Prague is a bad example because I have been in Prague. But let's say, have you ever been in a city that you've never been in? Like, I mean, I've never been in Istanbul, actually, which I would love to.
I love to.
But I've seen enough photos and enough. That's the place that is in top of my list. And but if all of a sudden I caught off guard and said, "Have you ever been in Istanbul?"
Yes.
I may say yes, but I'm not lying, because I think I have. Like a friend of mine from Galicia in Spain, he used to say, "Yeah, I think I've been in Istanbul once or none, one of the two."
Yeah, but the whole point about the things, like going back to the manners that you were talking, because the manners today, it's like the manners about the phone and all this. We need to find a way to try to to evolve, but keeping civil, which is really hard today.
Yeah, and also the manners are like, it just depends on the culture, the place where you're at.
That's true.
I mean, it's all
really
very
hard.
relative. I mean, the only thing that I know, I mean, that's something that we do talk about, Valentina and I, a lot, because there's always this thing of, you want to be liked, you want to be viewed, you want to see.
You want the most,
You don't
very
want
popular.
You feel like if you've done a piece and that piece is not watched by many people, is unsuccessful. So there is a correlation between something that is done is liked by a lot of people, and there is a thrill that we have, like everybody has, when people like and see and they appreciate something that you've done. But if that is an important ingredient in your creation, I mean, that's something we need to live with. I mean, to understand ourselves of how much that ingredient is dominating really what we want to say. and in a way, constant second guess. And that's something that is rabbit hole and is very dangerous. I think it's the ultimate enemy of an artist, or it could be, in my opinion, or my understanding of artists. But something that we know, and we know for sure, and there's no mistake about it, is what we like.
Yeah.
So we base a lot our posting is like, is that something I would like to see, I would like to watch? Whether people like it or not, I mean, it's just, we cannot say we can predict it. And in a way, we do care because there is, we establish a relationship with people that follow us.
Of course.
And our gratitude in a way goes together with trying to do something that they would like, appreciate. So that little 3 seconds, 10 seconds, or 12 seconds are not wasted. So we appreciate and actually taking that into account. But if we try to second guess or try to just give them something that we want, even against our taste, are we doing really what we're supposed to do? And I think that, and often when we do that, I mean, we fell into that category, and whatever artist says that it didn't is lying. And often that is the trap of success, because you like so much your success, you just want more of that, so you end up repeating yourself, because that worked out, so I'm going to do it again. And don't realizing that you're not doing that because of that motivation that made you do it the first time. You're doing it because you like the thrill of being appreciated. So that is something that every artist, and whoever says that is not, is lying and lives in a cavern somewhat away from people, is doing. And an exercise I like to do, and I don't do it enough, but I like to do, and I often talk to artists to do, is to do a painting that you could only see, and then take a matchstick and burn it. So nobody, only you could see it, and you need to know you're going to do that as you're creating it. And that way, you know that is the absolute truth, because you're doing it for you, and you appreciate what you're doing, and you're actually appreciating the process of creating, which is something that I learned from Picasso in that this documentary that they did in the back in the time, but it's, I mean, he was already maybe in his 70s or so, but it's called the Mystery Picasso. Is the name of it. It's a French movie, a documentary. And in that documentary, Picasso paints a series of pieces live in front of the camera, and you see the process. And they do like stop motion kind of a process. This is pretty cool. But you see his thinking. And he starts, in one case, he starts with the chicken, and the chicken becomes the devil in one of the paintings. And what I learned when I finished the movie, I highly recommend to anybody that is an artist and appreciates art to watch that movie, The Mystery Picasso, is that what I learned from Picasso, I mean, if you care for his work and you like his work, is that the painting itself was not the main objective, but by any stretch. I mean, there is some exceptions like the Guernica and this and that, but for Picasso, it was the fact of painting, the actual exercise of painting, what it was the thrill. Not to see how beautiful the end result was, but actually the process of painting. And you learn that by watching that movie, because you see him that he really finished the painting when that painting was done. When he just wanted to divorce that marriage of when he started with the painting, he was like, I'm done with you, and I'm going to just hang you, but I don't know what else to do with you, so go away, and I'm going to start a fresh one. So it's that. It's almost like a sandbox. Instead of the ultimate goal is the final result. And that is something that is very liberating. Because as long as you're enjoying the process, nobody can take that away from you.
That's correct.
I mean, they can take a lot of things away, but they cannot take out the thrill.
Yeah, that's the thrill. I mean, we have a lot of fun when we're doing our pieces. Cause it's a rare thing because we collaborate. So.
Yeah, talk a little bit about how we do it.
Yeah, so it's because Juan is more like he's a concept guy and he's like more brains, and so I am more about like doing things with my hands and like so it's a very cool process that we just did a piece that.
I'm the brains?
Your brains, huh? Yeah. The beauty.
You're fine.
No, so we did a piece. We just did a piece that we used real images. Like, you know, we shot like real images, like my hands, and like I created all these sets and all these little figures and things. So we used that, and then we also used drawings and the earth thing that is a CG. So we combined the three things, and it's a really cool process because it's like going from something that is just so primal, like, you know, just drawing like a line and that, and then putting all this thing in the computer, use all this digital stuff, and then putting all the real stuff too. So it was like, it was great. It was just so much fun because it's like in the balance of what is going to go where, like, you know, where are we going to use the real stuff? And it was just so so much fun.
That was a project we just finished for the RAND Corporation.
Yeah. And that's gonna go live tomorrow. So
it's gonna go. Yeah, check it out. It's
gonna
go.
You're publishing it tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow we're gonna we're gonna publish on Thursday, but the RAND Corporation is gonna publish tomorrow. But we're gonna publish on Thursday. I just look forward because it's really a very very difficult subject.
It's a subject that if you read just the word, it's difficult to read, and it makes you yawn, and it feels very boring, but it's fascinating.
Because when we got, it's a study about the risks of geoengineering in the geopolitical map. So I mean, it's a lot of big words.
It's a mouthful.
Tell us. Give us like what's going on. Give us the breakdown.
It's a study about like how to stop a little bit of the climate change. Some countries are thinking about using geoengineering, and geoengineering is something that is super complicated. And there are two types of geoengineering. So one of them is like putting like huge mirrors in space, so it would reflect the sun.
So it's just to solve the global warming using technology, but it's
just so
it's
bizarre.
amazing.
I mean, because it's clearly like out of this. I mean, it's something that you will think is some kind of sci-fi movie, made up. But it's not. It's not real. This stuff is real. So.
But before that, I mean, there's something fascinating going on right now, which is because of social media, because of this thing that we're doing right now, everybody has an opinion.
Exactly.
And the truth is somewhat colored by your belief.
Exactly.
So like it may not be true, but I feel that it's true.
Exactly.
It's like,
that's a huge trend. It's like you gotta respect, you know, what I'm saying because it's my belief, and I'm like, but your belief is not a fact. Well, it doesn't matter because it's my belief. So that's crazy.
So there is place. I mean. Companies like the RAND Corporation, that they take that aside, what you believe or not believe, and they just analyze. It's all analytics and data. But it's not. They are super rigorous. So they just not one study. They just put together like a bunch of studies, and then they make sure that is correct. So whatever is coming out of their studies is super accurate.
Yeah.
And in the world where nothing is accurate, it's just so refreshing.
Yeah, it's actually everything is backed with data, actual data that they collect for like years and years and years. And this is the stuff is like, and they are, you know, they're not, but they have nothing to do with politics. It's like the only, you know, thing is about truth and facts and data. So it's so refreshing when we got approached by them to do this artist. We're doing an artist residency with them for we're doing 3 visualizations and 3 different topics, and you know, when we talk to these people, like our first, you know, our first reaction was like, this is his stuff is out of this world, because this is actually what we've been looking for so long, which is something that is actual data.
It's close to what is the truth.
It's data. It's backed by science and data, and it's true, and it's no, this is what I feel or I believe. No.
I mean, we don't feel things that, I mean, we only have feelings that are untrue, and we probably do believe in things that we don't even question that are not true. So that is welcoming to see
It's
a little bit
so
of light
welcoming.
in
It's
something
so
that is
welcoming. So
a fact.
welcoming. So
Well,
yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting here because you're talking about data and truth, and then so much of the work that I see that I've been seeing more recently, I feel like deals with how certain elements of this go through society. How do we talk about these? How how are these social dynamics of truth and elements like we were talking about memory in terms of what is the truth that we saw or where we are, and how did we get there, what are the implanted memory, what are kind of the memories that we thought we were in Istanbul but we might not have been, we thought we were in a place but we might not have been, but we saw it. Does the seeing and the belief coincide? And I'm very curious about your understandings of how this sight and belief coincide with these elements of truth and data.
I mean, we are not very different from a plant. We're an organic entity, and we are complex, and we are very vulnerable. And our perception of reality is super vulnerable. I mean, I was driving the other day, and from the corner of our eye, I saw a black bear that was about to cross the freeway. And it was a black bear. It was a black bear for 4 seconds until I saw that it was a shadow that resembled a black bear. But it wasn't black bear. There was no black bears there. There's never been a black bear in that particular place in the world. But it was for 4 seconds a black bear. And it was my reality for 4 seconds. So there is realities like that is not only for 4 seconds, it could be for years. And it's not less real. It's not less real the fact that I'm having a conversation with you. And if you were actually, and you're in Berlin, you're like thousands of miles away. But if we were to actually have a conversation together, yeah, there will be certain elements. I mean, we will smell each other. I mean, I put some aftershave, so you will actually appreciate that. And I don't know. You could be very, very short, or you could be very, very tall. I don't know.
We don't know.
There's certain elements that we don't know about each other. We may be. I mean, the conversation may vary because of that. There will be maybe open different themes, but the feeling or the memory that we have is not that different. It's happened to me that I didn't remember if the conversation I had with somebody was real, or it was through Zoom or this kind of.
Yeah, it's like, we had a moment a couple of years ago where we were doing a lot of interviews, and at one point, we felt like because we were cooped in the house for so long, so we felt like these were our friends, people that were like in China or in like Australia, and then all of a sudden it's like we're friends. It's like they were here in our living room with us. And we have that feeling, and we still today have that feeling that we, and we always finish the conversation like, oh, if you ever come to LA, come visit us. But it's like, it's silly because you already have. You are already here in our living room.
And you mentioned something that is super important for us, and we try to implement that in everything we do, and I mean, what is really and it's so hard to define art, and we've been trying, and every definition I could prove it that is wrong one way or another. So there's as many definitions of art as there are artists, but I have a theory. There is one thing that we all have in common, all artists have in common when we create something. I dare to say, and it's our defeat to death. So we are artists because it's our way of defining death. And what I'm trying to say, what is the ultimate death? The ultimate death is to be forgotten.
Yes.
And when you create a piece of art, your aim is for that piece to outlive you, to be something that it could live. I mean, if you're lucky enough in your 80s, 90s, or 100, this piece may be actually older than you. I mean, they may be for a few more years.
So we were walking the dogs the other day, and we were talking about that, like right. What is, so when we died, you know, probably, I mean, if you have kids, maybe they'll remember you. If you have grandkids, I mean, but there's going to be a point that people are going to forget about you.
So that's the death.
That's it. You know, you're done. Like, nobody remembers you anymore. Maybe they'll see an old photograph and say, like, oh, yeah, but that's done. But then, you know, so we're talking, and I was like, wow, that's so sad. So what are the people going to remember from? And then we look at each other, it's like, the matchsticks! Yay! So we got, like,
that is the ultimate. I mean, that to us is important. And we, whether you're, I mean, some people do that with religion, other people do that with many other ways. I mean, whatever is your profession.
Yeah.
But an artist,
it's an advantage. It's an advantage because it's like it's something that stays. That is, I mean, I'm not saying that if you're a bank teller, you're not going to leave something tangible, but I mean. But you know what I mean? Something that you create a piece of art, and that at least is something that stays in people's head. I mean, same thing with entertainment. Like we're so taken by entertainment and actors and things, and we remember them forever. I mean, you don't remember who the Nobel Prize of you know, physics was last year, but everybody's glued to the TV watching Johnny Depp doing his, you know, whatever he's doing, his lawsuit or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just like weird because everybody's going to remember Johnny Depp was the Pirate of the Caribbean. Well, nobody remembers the, you know, Nobel Prize for physics from last year.
We are wired in a fascinating way that an artist needs to understand, because unless he's working in something that is going to burn, but if he wants people to appreciate it, he needs to understand what is memory and what is appreciation and what is something that is striking and what is the hook. And in our case, since we mostly try to tell stories with our visual pieces, sometimes 10, 12 seconds, sometimes a little longer, but we do need to have something that if we are successful, and we hope some of the pieces that we've done are successful, that will stick in the short time memory.
Yeah.
That is competing. I mean, when you're going through Instagram with the thumbnail, you're competing against, like, I mean, I don't know the number, it depends on the person, but it could be like 50, 60, or maybe 100 different postings. And what would they remember yours? I mean, what is there? And why do we need them to remember ours? I mean, and I think that is because we don't want to die.
This is a very interesting subject matter, I think, as the artist, to defy death in of itself. You know, how do we as humans, you know, and cultural beings that exist in the world defy death in of itself and go beyond that through expression and storytelling, and to get to the different parts, you know, from the technical aspects of storytelling to the parts that connect with thousands, millions, or even one other person in the world. How do we connect as human beings and share those stories to defy death? And I'm curious, as we, you know, we as artists, as creators, as visual storytellers, as just humans in the world, go about defying death through visual, audio. What do you both see as ways that you've engaged and that you've learned in defying death in of itself?
Whoa.
Well, I mean, death is something that is
it's inevitable.
Is both a curse and a blessing. I mean, that's something we all know, that because of death, I mean, there's something that I do appreciate. I saw that in heroes of mine, like Picasso, and people that have been living and doing art for a very long time, is the urgency of the last years. Instead of actually slow down and say, okay, I'm just going to retire and just take it easy, they do the opposite. They just have this sense of urgency because time is running out. And I do feel, I mean, it doesn't translate very good in English, but we like to live life with taking big bites at it.
Yeah.
Not the small bites at life, but big bites at life, because this is all we got. I mean, I don't have a theory about heaven, and I'm not opposed to it. There's no proof that there is no heaven or an afterlife. But what I know for sure is that is what we have right now. And we have, this life is a little thread.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, that thread is long. But if you're not lucky, is well, if you're lucky, actually, is a beautiful thread. And it's
long. I mean, it could be tangled, you know, it could be a wrong color or whatever, but yeah, but
wrong color. There's no wrong color.
But I mean, no, I mean, I would say like the wrong texture,
right?
Or the wrong, you know,
it
like
could be with spines.
Exactly.
If you have spines,
it could be twisted. It could be like,
but yeah, have broken.
Hopefully,
broken
you know,
parts.
you'll have a one that is, you know, nice. But you know, but I was thinking like, you know, my father, who is my father had me when he was older.
He's a writer.
But he's a writer, and he's 91 right now. And he's, you know, he knows that he's not going to last very long now. I mean, hopefully, yes. But it's amazing how he's a writer. And some of his better pieces are coming now. And it's because I think he has that sense of urgency, that sense of like, you know, what my legacy needs to be. And he works harder on it right now because he knows that time is running out. So I think that urgency is making him a much better writer than he was when he was in his, you know, 30s.
And there's all kinds of artists, or in a way, there's all kinds of curves of creativity in artists. There's artists that actually, they are very successful and they're best when they're super young.
They're some people,
prodigies.
but and then it's the other way around.
And then there's the other way around.
But yeah, but I think that death is like, it's inevitable. So we gotta embrace that, you know, well, that it's gonna happen, and make it. I think we'll have to make it into something positive. Like I see the example of my dad, that he's making that into something that is very valuable to him because he knows that is going to happen. And he's, you know, he's older and he is just working extra hard to make it, his legacy, even better.
But yeah, if you start with that sense of urgency younger, I think that is, and you always find a way, and that's what is so interesting about technology, is that technology is always evolving and there's always a reason why to learn and how to adapt that technology in a way that is, I mean, it cannot be the meaning of your art. Your art needs to have its own meaning, in my opinion. But the media that you use is it could be very inspiring of ways of doing things differently.
I had a friend who's my mother's ballet teacher. My mother was a ballerina, and he was his ballet teacher. And I became friends with him when he was 101. He was 101, and I always ask him, like, Henry, how do you keep so young? Because he will FaceTime with me. He will call me and say, Alexa controls my life. And then it was, you know, kind of thing. And I sent him a Roomba, you know, to clean his apartment. And he was like, yeah, no, this is amazing. I love. So he was so into that.
Tell them what's his name.
Oh, Henry Danton. So Henry was, you know, he was
he's an artist.
He's an artist. He's a dancer and then a choreographer. And he was still teaching at 102. He was still teaching twice a week. He said, like, what makes you so young? And he said 2 things. Well, 3, actually. He says, like, you have to be happy, technology, and because I'm an artist. And I adore what I do. You know, I adore my teaching. I adore that dancing. I adore feeling the music. So 102, and he, you know, he was like so up to date to everything. So inspiring. He sadly passed away in February, but he passed away. I mean, I FaceTimed with him that morning. It was incredible. So yeah,
he had no kids, but he had a huge legacy.
His legacy is that he inspired everybody on being happy, true to himself, and he was so passionate about his artistry.
He was hungry. He was one of the ones that
never stopped. He never stopped.
He lived life with big bites, as I was saying.
You know, it's interesting as we talk about Henry now, as his legacy lives on through the story, through this moment that you both have shared right here and all of the people watching whenever now is. And I think that's really interesting, as living the life in the now as this art, this shared story that his legacy is living on through you sharing the story of him and what's inspired both of you.
Yeah.
I'm curious, as both, as you've been working such with like matches and the fire burning, and how is that in relation? Because I find that there's a lot of deeper storylines that you both have embedded into these matches, and related to these stories and memory and the burning away. Maybe you both could talk a little bit about that.
I
Well,
mean, to be honest, go ahead.
well, the matches, I mean, first, the way we started the matches is because, matches are like the first drawing that you do when you're a kid is basically like the sticks, like with the two
Stick
legs
figure,
and the
yeah.
stick figure. So that resembles that. That's the beginning of the matches. Like that's the core of the matches. It's like, like the first thing that you think when you do a stick figure.
It's familiar.
So it's
yeah.
familiar. And then it's a wonderful metaphor. And it's fabulous because matches are like, anthropomorphic. They look like people, but they also have no race. They have no gender. They are, so they are fabulous vehicle to, to tell stories.
But it's very clear that
But it's very clear that you feel related to them, and then you see yourself because they're almost like human figures. So to starting with that, it's a fabulous way to communicate and to create little stories with everyday, because that's the thing about the matches, that we always try to incorporate like everyday, like little, props and little things that we have around the house that are the same size of the matches, or like, the scale. So that is just so wonderful. But then of course the fire, the way we use the fire on each story, it's different, because sometimes the fire means different things.
I mean, the simplicity of the function of a match is, I think, what brings it value, and also what we were talking about being ephemerous and light being ephemerous, and what clear metaphor than lighting a match, and that's the end. I mean, you live, you're there, you hang out for a few years, and then you burn. And also the fact that by burning, that burn could be extremely useful and beautiful, because you can burn a candle and create that.
You can create light. You can create warmth, but also that the same fire could be deadly.
It could be deadly. We know that in California,
especially here in California. So a couple of years ago we were doing a little piece, and then we decided not to publish because we were imposed because right at that moment there was one of the worst fires in California that was burning for many days, and then we realized, like, this is terrible. We cannot do this because
let's give it a break.
It means right now it means death, like real death, like really.
People were hurting, and
So we decided not to post, and we gave it a little break, because at that point fire was so related to death, to actual destruction and death.
But it's a fine line. I mean, matches are obviously, I mean, you don't let kids play with matches.
But they're also, it could be light. So then we have used it as well as, turning on like the lighthouse, and then it brings light and it brings hope to people to look forward to the future. So,
but that duality, those two sides, the light and the dark, is what humans we are.
Exactly, that's what we are.
And I learned a long time ago to not discriminate people into these are the good people and bad people, because we all are good and bad depending on the moment of the day or the time of your life. So we are both. I mean, we have the good and evil within us constantly. So when we see ourselves, it's not only the fact that they have a head and a body and they're easy to interpret it as anthropomorphically, but it's the fact that they have a short fuse and they will burn, and they could do good and they could do bad, which what brings us together to humanity. So it's and I mean, we bump into the matches. That was 2018. by a little bit by accident. We did a little piece. We didn't think much about it, but it was fun. And then we were like, well, let's do another one and then after doing 3 or 4, like, oh, maybe we're done. In some point, we're talking about it, so we're done with. Because the way we work is very it's fun. It's like you know the Greeks, they have this thing the how do you the polypathetic, I think it's called, that they go out to talk and they talk while they walk it. That's what they do.
Yeah, we do
and
that.
That's how we work.
We do that a lot. We walk. We go for walks around the neighborhood. We walk for walks and we talk and we think. And that's how we get the
always. and there is something to be said about how the gears in your brain works when you're walking. So our best ideas come as we walk. And that's something that we started doing with the matches a lot.
Yeah.
That was like 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
And we have right now, I mean, we had to take a little break because we were so busy with other stuff. But we have like 5 things cooking with the matches that we love, and we just can't wait to get our hands. But we haven't had the time. Because
it's the thing. Where I'm going back to the beginning of the conversation. It's like the details, because that's the whole thing. That's like our the core of our work is we're walking on the street and then we see something and there's a little detail that caught your eye, and then that's an idea. That becomes an idea, and that idea becomes a little post.
And it's true that anybody can have a good idea. I mean, that is something that is, I mean, there is not such a thing as people with great ideas, people by ideas. The difference is that people actually materialize those ideas.
Everybody has good ideas.
So I don't think we're genius, not even close, but we are, we get shit done. We do things. And that I mean, there's genius that don't do anything in their whole life. So nobody knows they're genius but them, or not even them, if they don't do things. And people that are maybe not that good or not that bright, but they work super hard. We're more like the later.
We're not.
We work really hard.
We just work hard. Yeah. That's an important
just
thing.
To compensate.
To work hard. So but the details, and I there's a writer that I'm really fond of. There's David Sedaris. I'm really fond of him, and I was watching his masterclass, and that's the one thing that he says, like, pay attention. Just pay attention, because the best story is right in front of you. You have it right in your nose. It's right in front of you. Just pay attention because it's right there. So so if anybody asks, when people ask, oh, do you have any advice for like, it's like, just pay attention. Look around, because everything is an idea. Everything around you, details, they're all ideas for you to create something.
Yeah, this idea that you need to go out places and travel a lot and be very exposed to be able to be rich to tell ideas could be true for some people.
It's true for some people.
But you can prove the opposite as well. I mean, there is that beautiful, one of my favorite books of all times is Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino, and
I love that book. I just want to say I love that book.
Do you?
I love it. I love it so much.
My favorite
one of my favorites.
After all the stories, when it says, how come you're talking about all those fantastic cities, but you don't mention Venice? And it's where Marco Polo says, you don't realize that that's all I've been talking about? Because there was and he gives it a twist in that book, when he says, based in a theory, which is not proven, that Marco Polo actually never left Venice. But he actually was always in Venice, and he was all his imagination. And that is, I mean, or even
but that's going to bring us to the AI again, because that's the future. That we're going to be like that theory of Marco Polo. We're going to see the world from our bedrooms.
We may already be part of
maybe this is already a game. Maybe we're not real. Maybe we're just like a computer generated images.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point, is like how we seen all these places through the eyes, in invisible cities. We've seen these things, these places, this imagination through the book, that we've both seen these places, that we feel like we've been there. We feel through the details, little details in the books, whether it's the place that's on the that's all stilts in the air, or where or where or everybody feels a certain way. There's little details in the books that we all know, that we've been to this place together through the imagination of the author, and through his experiences in life. And I think that's that you bring up a very interesting point between the visualization of this memory, and we were talking about lies and the etiquette, but is it a lie that we've all been to these invisible cities in this book that we've all seen? Is it a lie, or perhaps it's
your truth, that is your truth, but it's a fine line.
But then your truth is like, we go back to the idea of like, I feel that it's true.
Yeah, so it's very complicated, and it's a fine line, because then that's when we get, if you apply that to more, mundane things like politics, or like how people are ruling, or, doing laws and things like that, then it gets really tricky, because that is going to affect real people. Because my feelings are that, no, your feelings, they shouldn't affect, the rest of the population.
But they do.
And that's the fine line. That's what we need to, find a way to make it. Because I'm thinking like, what we do is like, if you're creating like a little piece for like Instagram, or you're entertaining, it's fabulous, because you're entertaining. That's exactly what you're doing. You're entertaining. But then when you take that aspect and you apply it to more serious things, like where lives of people are going to get, decide and could actually, be fatal for some people. That's when the regulations need to be in place. But it's so strange, because it's like, what is true and what is not true. And then I go back to, I say that we try not to lie, but then there's a certain point where we are going to lie too, because
the moment that you apply makeup in yourself,
you're applying
go
makeup,
to get a haircut,
so that's
pretending.
Exactly, because I say like, why don't you cover your gray hairs? It's like, no, because I like them. I mean, I like, this is who I am. I like who I am, and I don't really try to be true to myself. But it's all BS, because at the end of the day, I'm going to put on makeup, and I'm going to put on clothes that are going to make me look better or not, and I put high heels. So where do you stop? Where's that line? I don't know where that line is, but I think it's important for us to try to at least find a line, put a line somewhere.
What art? I mean, going back to the idea of the art. I mean, what art does for an artist, and I think that's, in a way, everybody's an artist. Everybody, and it's okay.
Everybody,
and it's the perfect therapy. So everybody should be somehow, or have an art relationship in somewhat. I mean, there's not the artist and the non-artist. So no. I don't have that in me. It's like, no, we all have. And what art does, I mean, whether you're writing a book or doing a painting or creating a posting in Instagram, is that little refuge from all this madness that you have control. You're the god. You're the mirror of that little piece that you're creating, and it's very comforting. That's not really what art is, because you have control on the laws of that particular place, like the cities of Italo Calvino that he made up. And I cannot even, I mean, the thing that I like about that book especially is that I want to project myself to the moment while he was writing it, and the sense of freedom, and let go, and just let yourself fall in the hands of pure imagination and creativity, and it's so inspiring to me.
It really is, but then but there's also the what I'm going back to the finding a line. That line is like, because sometimes we're like creating something and we're about to post, and then we think, oh, but this could be offensive to somebody that thinks, that
could be
misinterpreted. Or like, there's also now this whole cancel culture that it's terrible in a way, but it's done good things, but it's done bad things too, because then that's when you start questioning, like, ooh, this is not politically correct, or this is this, or this is that. So then you're censoring yourself, and in order to not touch.
Well, it's called responsibility.
But it's also responsibility. Yeah, you can see it's good and it's bad, because it's really good because then, you're thinking of the other people that could be offended or could be, taking that, in the wrong way, but also you're censoring yourself. So again, that fine line is so fine. It's so fine that
you want to be free.
It's kind of like difficult to find it.
Well, it's very interesting as we've brought this up, as we're talking about, invisible cities, as he talks to the Khan and, comes back with these little symbols, whether it's the feather or whatever these little symbols are of the place, and plays a game of chess as he describes the places he's been. As artists, as creatives, as, you've gone out and told these stories with the matchsticks, you're almost going out and telling us these stories that you've seen out in the world in the same sort of way that we as the audience are the con to play the game of chess with the both of you, as we share and understand these stories and the symbols that you've come back from this great beyond, this imaginary world, and have come back to share the stories. And I find it very interesting, as the matches play with a roll of toilet paper or go off and, stop themselves from burning, what are these symbols that have created, us to have the ability to share in this game of chess as we listen and understand what's out there in the world of the imagination?
It's funny, one of the ideas that we have in mind to do soon with the matches is a chess game.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear you talk about that. What the matches do, and I think that often there is a lot of things that the matches cannot do, and there is certain things that we want to talk about all the time. We try to force the matches to tell the story, and they don't work. So there's a lot of ideas that we actually even start working, and then there's so many frustrated stories that never came to life because we don't ever want to force the match. We want to make sure that whatever we do, that we create with the matches, is easy, and you don't need to make a big effort to understand.
Yeah.
So that is
They're very quick and telegraphic.
But at the end, we want to be left with a little bit of a smile. So we don't want to. We try to avoid the darkness that could represent matches. So it's a little bit of a smile. There's never a ha-ha humor in our matches, although we try.
It's a chuckle.
But there's a little bit of a smile and appreciation, and in a way, something that we've learned, and we didn't know that until 4 years ago, is the fact that having an audience that could actually interact with you and talk to you and give you ideas or appreciation for what you've done it just gives you that sense of responsibility, and that relationship is very rewarding, and you want to be honest to the people that actually decided to take the chance and follow you, and be able to, for them not to lose their time, not to waste their time. Even if we're talking about 10 seconds, I want to we made a promise that those 10 seconds are worth watching. So we do pieces that are just, we feel that they're beautiful, and we still don't publish because we feel that is it really of that level of wasting time among all the other things that we see.
Respectful to the audience,
and that is at the mercy of maybe or maybe detriment of actually don't posting too much. So we don't post that much, because we have that rule of like, if we post, it better be so. Which I know that is not really the culture of Instagram. It's just fucking put it there and see what happens. I just feel like doing it. We actually give it a lot of thought.
We do.
Which maybe we're wrong. Maybe we are a little bit outsiders.
It's our process, and we respect our process. I mean, it's like that's.
We're sticking to it for now.
Well, I think it's a very interesting thing. Is we're wrapping this up very soon, but I think it's very interesting, this idea of, you know, relationship with the audience, respect of the audience, you know, relationship with the work, you know, you know, as we as artists, as creatives might, you know, find ourselves in relationship, you know, as Marco Polo to the con, to share these stories that we've gone out and discovered, that we've found, you know, on these walks of, you know, talking with the people and the trees and the environment that inspires us, of the bridges and rivers, of the cities, you know, outside and inside of ourselves. And I think that's really interesting. What is this respect, you know, as we put ourselves in Marco Polo's shoes and come back to the con of the Instagram, of the sharing of the, you know, these different social media platforms, and share these stories through the visuals, the words, the dances you talked about, Henry, you know, these different elements that have inspired from the world beyond.
I mean, in a way, I mean, before we start doing things on Instagram, I wasn't really not in the group, the one that would like to talk or drive attention to. I don't even like to celebrate my birthday, so I'm not a big fan of being the focus of attention. First, because I don't feel like I'm as fast. And maybe when we are together in a group of people, these people that are super fast in coming up with a word that is funny, or they just give it a twist, or make you rethink. I need time. I really do need the time. I'm the one that if somebody tells a joke, I will laugh 15 seconds later when it's already in the second one. I do need the time, but it is what it is. I cannot change myself, so I'm a little bit. I take my time, but I see the value in it, because I think that I do it because Valentina is a lot faster than me, so we do a big couple because
we're really the opposite. No, I don't crave attention, but I usually, you know, I read real fast, and I'm quicker than one. So it's funny because I always say that he lives on a delay.
I do.
But it's a good delay because, you know, we're walking on the street, you know, like we're doing our walk and we're doing our talk, and then I see something and it's like quick. I got it. I was like, did you see that? And then it's like, you know, maybe next, like on the next block, he's like, oh, okay. So, but it's great. It's a fabulous working environment for us because it's like we complement each other so well.
I like to deepen into things. I do like to take my time.
He takes his time for everything.
And I see myself, and it's an interest, like an experiment. So it's like my body's a laboratory, and with the premise that we are all very similar. So we are wired very similar. So whatever happens to me, my dark thoughts, my good thoughts, are thoughts that people are going to have. Maybe not everybody, but a good bunch of people are going to have. And I see that like a laboratory of how do I react to certain things. And that is part of how do we do certain, I mean, our pieces is taking into account the reaction of people. What is going to be captivating immediately. Because that's really what, I mean, even the word Instagram is a brilliantly, I mean, that's a really good name because it's instant. Yeah. So how do we make something instant and yet deep?
But that's why we work together so well, because he has that thing that, you know, that is, but I'm the Insta part. He's the gram, I'm the Insta.
Wow. I love that, like the back and forth and the dynamic. And I think, you know, how do we embrace these dynamics, you know, within each other and with ourselves, you know, the immediacy versus the delay, and, you know, be able to think about things and then bring these ideas to fruition. And, you know, even just taking away from this to go and walk and to think and to talk as part of the process. It's not just in the studio in that small part. First of all, as we wrap this up, I want to thank you both and our audience. I want to say thank you for being here. And I want to know where the audience can find you both at on Instagram or other social media. Just like spell it out for us so that everybody can find you both.
Well, our page is, it has just my name because that's how we started. It should have been called Valentina and Juan, but that's how it is. It's Juan_Delcan. That's the Instagram page. But we also have a website that we are calling the Matchstick People.
The Matchstick
Easy to remember.
Yeah.
The matchstickpeople.com. So those are the two places where we have to update that.
Yeah, and
we
have a lot
anyone.
of work to do. But that's pretty much it. So you see, he's the slow one, but he's the front. You know, it's his name, so that's not cool. You gotta change that. Yeah.
And we also have Twitter.
Yeah, I wasn't that quick when that happened. When he put the name.
I'm taking all the credit.
He's taking all the credit. That's okay. It's fine. You know,
can we find you on Twitter, or can we find the both of you on Twitter?
Also,
it's the same. It's fine.
Juan underscore, Juan underscore Delcan. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm not super fan of Twitter, but yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan. I gotta say. Well, anyways.
That's fair. That's fair.
And now it's gonna be, now it's gonna change hands. So we'll see what happens. Twitter, because Elon Musk just decided to buy it.
These are things that we'll talk about next time.
Next time, because that's interesting. That's a whole thing.
Especially as we came all full circle around AI and all of this. It's what's gonna happen to algorithms, and how do we work with the algorithms, or
whoever tells you that knows what is going to happen is lying. Because nobody
we
knows.
don't know what's going to happen.
Our brain is not even capable right now to think what is going to be that relationship with AI. Hopefully, it'll be both probably fascinating and scary. I wanna think that probably more good than that, but we don't.
Hopefully,
who knows? It's a mystery. It's just really, and I think it's because of the speed and the change. But in art, art has been able to go hand in hand with technology in a brilliant way. Since the Bauhaus, it's been fascinating, the relationship with art, and this now with the NFTs and all the stuff. There's a lot fascinating things happening.
I think, just to wrap this up, I think we have to embrace it. We got to embrace all the new technologies. I always, when people tell me, oh no, I'm a purist, I think about Henry Danton, my friend who died at 102, and he was the most savvy, tech savvy person that I ever met, and he was 102. It's embrace it because it's going to make your life better, for sure.
And you don't have a choice.
Wow. Any last words beyond that? Because that's a pretty good, right there with Henry.
I'm good.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for inviting us to talk. It's wonderful to talk.
Lovely to meet you. Lovely to meet you. No, you see, now you are part of this house. You are, you're being here. You're being in our living room. You're part of our family now.
Same here. Same here. I'm so happy we could share a living room today.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's up to you to click the X button.
Okay. Bye.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. With Juan Delcan and Valentina on here, we've talked about so much here with Doing Good HQ. I'm so happy as we understand just a little bit more about ourselves through culture and humanity, of where we're going, of embracing technology, of how do we work with AI and the artist and the creative impulse as we live and just live just beyond death, beyond ourselves, through a story, through Henry, through happiness, technology, being the artist, embracing the process, burning the page as Picasso, to say that we create for the process. And looking at ourselves and what we do as the story, going through the world, walking and sharing the process of talking with each other, working through these ideas. I really appreciate Juan and Valentina sharing so much of their process with us as we go through invisible cities in our imaginations and within ourselves, walking through cities to imagine what the future could be. So thank you so much for joining. I'm Aaron Jack with Aaron Jack Show at Aaron Jack Line Art. And we're here with Doing Good HQ, where Doing Good HQ connects the artist, the creative, with being the philanthropist and sharing and connecting that journey together. So thank you so much for joining here on the Aaron Jack Show. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Ciao.